Good evening and welcome to the Brownbread Mixtape!
Brownbread Mixtape.
Very true. So if I say brown, you say red. Brown. Red. Brown. Red.
Hey everybody, you're very welcome to the Brownbread Mixtape podcast. Ireland's only podcast dedicated to spoken word and indeed Irish independent music. Again, this month we're showcasing the work of Eamonn McLoughlin in a 6-part series he did for Dublin City FM around spoken word performance poetry and writers who perform their own work. And this month's show is centred around the Monday Echo, which is a wonderful, wonderful night that's run obviously on a Monday in the downstairs of the Irish bar here in Dublin, the International Bar. Of course it's an Irish bar, we're in Ireland, what am I talking about? But it's run by the brilliantly talented Aidan Murphy, who's a fantastic songwriter in his own right. And Aidan has run this night extremely well for many years now. It essentially came out of the embers of the night, the Glore sessions that Stephen James Smith used to run there, and previous to that it was Dave Murphy who ran it as well. And it's a long-standing night that showcases both poetry and music. And this episode is an interview. It contains interviews with Aidan Murphy himself, and then Stephen James Smith, a good friend of mine now, I am happy to say, a fantastic poet and in some ways the gateway through to the performance poetry scene for a lot of poets, a lot of young poets in the present day, and a big-hearted soul and an enormously talented one at that. And finally then there's an interview with Carl Parkinson, who's a tremendously gifted poet from inner city Dublin, who I've had the pleasure of sharing a stage with both here in Ireland and in New York City as well, and a fascinating insight it is too into his writing and his perspective on the world. So again, like I said, this is the Voices in the Wilderness documentary that Eamonn McLoughlin put together, and this one is, like I said, centred around the Monday Echo. So let's have a listen. I hope you enjoy it. Thanks.
This series was made with the help of the Broadcasting Authority of Ireland. This is Eamonn McLoughlin for Dublin City FM with Voices in the Wilderness, a 6-by-1 hour documentary series about performance poets and writers who perform their own work. The spoken word scene, although underground, is thriving with a new generation of poets taking crowds by storm. This week I'm going to the Monday Echo in the International Bar, and I'll be talking to MC and organiser of the event, Aidan Murphy. Also, I'll be talking to poets Stephen James Smith and Carl Parkinson. Stephen has released a CD along with Enda O'Reilly called Arise and Go, and has had his work published in 6 different languages. Carl is last year's All-Ireland Poetry Grand Slam runner-up and is one of the 4 poets featured on the spoken word album Naked and Hungry. Music is by the Guilty Folk and the West Nile Ramblers, but first it's Aidan Murphy.
The night was actually running for a few years before I took it over, and there was a guy called Stephen James Smith who was running a show called the Glore Sessions, and he'd been running that, as I say, for about 2.5 years, and then he went on to do other things, like he's promoting his own album and doing a college course. So he said to me, do you want to take over the night? And so I eventually went, yeah, okay, cool. And so I just kept the format the same, and I took over in about November 2011. And so I just kept running it like the same format that was going on before, and we've kept the same sort of crowd. So I just kind of stepped into something that was already in action. I was sort of taking it on like as a job, and I didn't think I'd actually enjoy kind of turning up every Monday night and kind of, because you do have to make a commitment to it. You do have to actually be there every week, and you have to have acts on every week. So you can't take too much time off. It has to be there every time, and I didn't think I'd enjoy the pressure of that, but I'm actually enjoying just having somewhere to go every week, and the fact that crowds are turning up and enjoying the acts as well is kind of fun, and I'm enjoying the room. So yeah, it's in general I am enjoying it. and it's that friendly atmosphere. Like, it isn't just a bunch of anonymous faces like you get in a theatre or something like that. It is that there is a core group of regulars who come, and then new people, and then there's new acts on every week, and then I think that the acts get a sense of the sort of the vibe in the room as well.
Speaking of acts, what kind of acts do you get, and what's the standard like?
They're all absolutely amazing, every single one of them. And the kind of acts we get, well, the format of the show is songwriter and poetry. So we've got, I generally try and plan it as having like 3 songwriters and 3 poets a week. It never quite exactly works out like that, but that's the sort of template I'm working to. And people come from all over. Like, sometimes you get people visiting the country who just want to kind of do some songs. Poets, we got, like, there's a wonderful community of like performance poetry in Dublin. Again, this is something I inherited from the Glore sessions that Stephen was doing. He's a kind of figure on the performance poetry scene. Me being a songwriter, I don't know as much about poetry, but I'm getting to know it, and I'm spending a lot of time on YouTube just kind of like watching poets and seeing like what they're up to. And again, I go around like some of the nights as well. Like, there's another night called Tongue Box, which is a poetry night, and I'm really surprised actually at the kind of standard of spoken word performance is it's really high in the city, and I'm enjoying finding out about it, because again, not coming from a poetry background, I'm sort of coming to it new, but I'm liking that process of seeing who's out there, seeing what I'm enjoying, what I'm not enjoying, and just getting people down to the night. Often the first time I'll see a poet performing in person is when they actually turn up to the Monday Echo. And it's always a nice surprise, and there's a wide variety of styles out there. So yeah, with poetry, there's a lot of people who kind of who would just kind of be reading new stuff off a page. There's a lot of people who have like years and years of experience getting up in front of crowds and actually doing a very in-your-face performance. So there's a good variety in that. And with the songwriters, there's everything from solo songwriters. Like, sometimes you get people who are just starting out with their first songs, and they'll just have like amazing stuff already. Then you get bands as well, so there'll be kind of like well-established bands who are coming down to promote gigs. Like, often people will be promoting albums, or now a big thing is fundraising. Like, people will be trying to get funding for albums, so they'll drop into the night to promote that and promote whatever they're doing. And I've got, like, over the years, I've met quite a lot of songwriters, and it's nice to have kind of friends back down to actually play at the night and like see what they're up to now. And I do try and keep a kind of rotation going, so that like every week, if you're turning up a few weeks in a row, you're going to see somebody different every week. So that's important. But it's nice that everybody's got this activity that they're involved in the whole time. Like, we're all sitting at home kind of like playing guitar and being influenced by stuff and trying to write things. And the fact that there's places in Dublin you can go where you can actually perform every night of the week and put your stuff out there and meet other people who are doing it. It's as much about meeting the other people who are doing the same thing that you're doing day in, day out, as it is actually performing or trying to get anywhere. And obviously a lot of people who've come out of the Dublin songwriting scene, anyone who's become famous, pretty much all of them would have been playing around the circuit in Dublin back over the years. Like back in the 90s, when Dave Murphy was running the International, he would have had people like Paddy Casey and Damien Rice passing through his doors. He used to host the Songwriter Night in the International. He's now down in the Bankers. But over the years, I wouldn't be surprised, because of just the amount of people we have going through the night, that people are going to go on to bigger and better things. Like, it's almost a numbers game. You can't have a city like this with the amount of talent in it and have a night running with different people every week, and some of them not do well in some way at some stage.
You think you got problems, and you probably do. They're nothing compared to what's about to hit you. Lock down people, just take a rest. What's coming next? The phones won't ring, bill won't flow. Everybody's gotta try to find a new way to grow. Take care of your friends, take care of your health. Gotta love your neighbor more than yourself. When the party's over, you're gonna have to run on the run. When the party's over, you're gonna have to live on the gotta slow down, you gotta do some speed. Oxford Commons, scene of the crime. It's a many-act tragedy played out in our time. The cops won't come, streetlights flicker and dim. If you're living near the coast, then I hope you know how to swim. Cause you're gonna get hit by a sneaky hockey stick. Backswing so slow, impact so quick, and when the party's over, won't have anywhere left to run. When the party's over, you're gonna have to live on the sun. Could be fun, we just don't know.
I've been playing music for years, like piano since I was about 6 or something. Got a guitar when I was about 14. I've probably been writing songs and actually turning up, like performing in publics for about 9 years, I think, since about 25. And so yeah, I've just been kind of like I'm a very slow songwriter. It takes me years to actually finish things, so I've only got about like 10 songs actually written. So yeah, I'm hoping just to kind of get my own gigs going a bit more often now as well. And the exposure from the Monday Echo is great because it means there's a lot of people who would sort of see me every week, so it makes it easier to promote my own shows. And a lot of people who run songwriter nights find that as well, in that it makes their own material easier to promote because they've got an instant kind of community of people who know who they are. Now, I don't perform very much at my own night because I figure, like, when you're hosting a show, I prefer to kind of just sit back and let the acts do their thing. I just kind of read stuff off a list and sit back. But yeah, as I say, it means you meet a lot of people every week, so you can kind of promote your own things. And I like kind of, I think I like being in doing the Monday Echo because it lets me see different songwriters every week. So I've got like just a great seat in the house to see some of the best people coming through. So not that I'm copying people, but it influences me a lot because I see how good performers work, and you pick up little tricks off different people, like whether it be just some kind of chord change or some just the way they talk to the crowd. That's sometimes a big thing, is like how people actually perform on stage. You see what the good stuff is and how a crowd reacts to it. So hopefully some of that is rubbing off.
Excellent. So again, about you, what have you planned for the future? Recording an album, maybe? I don't know.
No, I don't really believe in recording albums very much. Like, you see a lot of people go to a lot of trouble recording albums and then they don't sell any, or the ones they do sell end up sitting on a shelf somewhere. I kind of believe in the fact that if you're going to make music, just make sure it's going to be heard in some form, which is why I like doing the Monday Echo, is because it's an actual genuine audience of people every week and the songs are getting heard. I think in general, recorded music is losing its value, not in terms of its value artistically, but in terms of its value monetarily, because there's so much out there, and it's all of very high quality, and it's getting easier to distribute. Like, you don't have to print up a CD anymore. You can just upload something to SoundCloud and have a perfectly good copy sitting there. And so the music process is becoming more decentralized, which is great. And some people see this as a bad thing because you can't make huge millions like you could back in the day. But it's also a good thing because it means people's choice is broadened, and there's opportunity for everybody. It kind of levels the playing field. So a lot more people can actually distribute high quality music, and you can find out about new acts, such as people that play down in the Monday Echo. I can now instantly, once somebody gets up on the open mic night, there's people watching online. I can post up that person's Facebook page, so somebody watching at home can instantly get through to their SoundCloud page, hear more of their songs. And that's for somebody who would have just recorded their stuff the day before. And that's unheard of in the history of music, which is an amazing thing. And I think it's that small scale kind of revolution in the music industry, which is really exciting. Like, rather than we're moving away from a huge centralized model where it's becoming like proper folk music again, where people are just swapping ideas on a very kind of person-to-person level, but it's now much easier to do, so ideas spread quicker, and communication has got a lot easier.
When I was younger and scared of the night, you'd sing me one song and then turn out the light, but leave the door open so I could still see. There's a little light that will always be shining for me. So sing one last song, let it echo back from wherever you've gone, and I will always be a part of you. Stand by me please, as the morning sun smiles on red April trees. Children turn and face the sky, turn dragonfly blue. I've sailed through some storms and I've drifted for years. My heart has capsized in an ocean of tears. Dolphins swim by me and make safe my way, till we reach a port that lies just at the edge of the day. And sing one last song, let it echo back from wherever you've gone. I will always be a part of you. So stand by me please, as the morning sun smiles on red April trees. Children turn and face the sky, turn dragonfly blue.
Music these days is more about the community of people that are involved in it, and it's people talking to each other and doing projects with each other. So it's no longer, well, it is in some ways, but it's less about kind of having to have a 5-year business plan and kind of remortgage your house, and just so you can have the opportunity to be that tiny percentage of people that can make it over the line. Instead now it's more of a community thing where you got the audience and the artist interacting, people meeting up every week, people knowing each other. And so your audiences may not be as big, but at least you're interacting with them, and audiences can find stuff they genuinely like instead of one massive centralized kind of media network almost dictating what you listen to. You now have so many choices because of the internet and because of independent nights that go on like all over the city, and because of independent artists, and independent people now have the power to advertise and communicate on a level that they couldn't before. So there's there's the community of audience, and there's also a community of people who run these nights. Everybody would sort of know each other, and everybody kind of learns from each other and copies each other, and that keeps a whole kind of like a citywide community going, where we now, like through the internet especially, we can keep audiences regular, and we can provide a lot more information for the public out there. And I think in Dublin in particular, there is a huge amount of quality that you just wouldn't get in other cities around the world. So that's something for the future.
We've got songs, oh yes, we've got songs that'll make love to your face and impregnate your brain. Songs that'll touch you, really touch you, like a 5-way with the 18. That's a whole lot of hands and a van full of tools, just trying to make the world a little better. The 18's got plans to give it to you. You're gonna love it when they come together. Oh, we got a little something, something for everyone. We're coming at you like Wonder Woman with her strap on. She calls it Wonder Dawn. We're gonna finger your hearts, we're gonna shift your souls, we're gonna molest your funny bones. Look out, darling, here we go. Take a deep breath, we're the guilty four. We get sexually excited by the sound of laughter and applause. Now we told you how to do it, so come on and turn us on. Some of the audience suffer from premature.
That was the Guilty Folk. Next, it's Stephen James Smith.
When I was in school, I didn't really care about poetry. I wasn't massively against it, but English wasn't one of my favourite subjects. Fair things like construction studies or maths and physics and things like that, the usual sort of laddier type subjects. And then I started to learn to play guitar. I was about 16 or thereabouts, and they were doing a battle of the bands in school. So one day I had an exam. I was finished early, and I wasn't able to leave the exam hall. So instead of just sitting there doing nothing, I decided I'd write a song. I wrote 2 songs. Now, they're probably pretty useless, but that just kind of, I don't know why I did, but just to be proactive, I suppose, and put them to music, and that kind of got me interested in writing and trying to express myself a little bit, and then I had like a little notebook which I'd scribble things down in, different songs and whatever, different thoughts came into my head. And it was one of my friend's 21st, and I decided I'd write her a poem for a gift and frame it and gave it to her. And it was the first thing I wrote in my next little notebook. The other ones were finished, and some people seemed to like it and asked me to write them a poem. So I kind of went from there. Said very much by accident, not a conscious thing at all. A fella called Ray Beggins, very good musician. He ran an open mic in there, and Slattery's wasn't too far from me. It was a nice pub, so I moseyed on down with them, and I met a few of his friends. And his name is Niall Holohan. He's a brilliant musician and poet and stageman. His band's called Reader's Wives. So he kind of got me along into discovering performance, and then I found out about a poetry night, and I thought it'd be full of weirdos, and it was, but Like, they were kind of cool weirdos, you know. They were just different people that were accepting and challenged the way I thought, and I liked that. And they encouraged me, and we appreciated that, you know. It was a safe space, and it was a bit of fun as well. Like, we weren't just sitting around talking literature, we were having a few beers and being rude to each other and whatever as well, you know. So it was kind of a fun experience, and therefore poetry wasn't an alien thing anymore. It was something that my mates were doing, and something that I could connect with, and a way of showing a part of my humanity and whatnot. So that's kind of what really it made it more tangible for me, and it made it something that it planted a seed in me, like, and it's become a passion of mine. So that's kind of how it started out, and here I am chatting to you 10 years on or something, you know, like. Jeez, I'm going to be 30 now in a few days, so getting big and bold and old and all that. But I suppose I wrote my first poem when I was around about 20, because my mate was 21 and she's a year older than me. And they say it takes you about 10 years to write anything decent, so hopefully the best years are ahead of me. There's quite a lineage of performance in the International Bar, and I had my first point there when I was 14, so I kind of have a natural affection for the place, and had a lot of fun there over the years with mates playing it. But Dave Murphy used to run the sessions in there, and then a friend of mine, Jacqueline, took it over, and she saw me one night performing in Eamonn, which is unfortunately is no longer. You can't get hepatitis in the Jacks anymore in there, you know. They give you, it's nice and clean. But anyway, she saw me in there probably about 8 years ago or so, and she was running that night for around about 7 years. Jacqueline she's a super girl, she's a great musician, and she created a nice atmosphere in there. And then anyway, she decided to go back to Galway, and if she wasn't able to do it, she used to ask me to step in and run the night for her. So I thought about it long and hard though when she asked me, but I kind of cherished the night, and I kind of felt I had a responsibility to have this space in Dublin, and so it was an important thing for me. But I also wanted to make sure there was a space for poets. Predominantly the night was full of musicians. I kind of used to go to all the different nights, the music nights, and go here, and a poet gives a chance up there, and they tell me where to go, and I normally kind of go, give me one shot, and if you think I'm brutal, you know, I won't be back. And thankfully they didn't always think I was totally brutal, and they let me up again, and that's where I think I earned my crust, as it were. I went to places where people weren't expecting poetry, and I had to earn their ears. A lot of poetry nights or poetry events, whatever, the kind of people are told to listen, and it's one of the things I'd say at the Glory sessions, you know, open your ears and close your mouths and turn off your phones and whatnot. But I really had to work to get it.
My 6 days of Prozac positivity, well sure, it all started with an empty me. Numbing our problems and surroundings, we can only try and cut through our pain for hurt, for reality, for some fresh perspective, detecting a somber mentality, moving to a bipolar neutrality in contrast to a well-oiled machine that's functioning with fission spark plug electricity. So, I'll arise and go now, and go to our core, where a secret garden will see our souls sucked to dry some more, nourished by living corpses that are beautifully rotting and flourishing in a world gone mad that's addicted to weed killer, where a neural uptake has resulted in suicide. So, have you set yourself a date to collide with your maker, or some demon heart to break her? And if I flew off the cuckoo's nest, would you shoot me down or set me free? I'm not here to judge, because what's right for me may not be right for you, but I know now the importance of being earnest. It's taken me 24 years to have learnt this. It's a lesson, a fable, a parable for happiness. Cause it's only when you hit your lowest low that you can set your sights high on a new goal. So please follow your intuition, listen to those voices from within, follow feelings for freedom. I understand. I know it's hard. I know you hurt yourself. I know you care about everyone else. I know the demons by name, so say hello to them from me, but please don't fear them, because I know that we can clear them from your nightmares. I'm here. I'm near. And you, sure, You make me real. You, sure. You make me real. A real reality is better than a medicated mentality, moving to mediocrity, meditating to purity. Prescribe yourself some happiness, prescribe joy. There ain't no good thing that ever dies, so where are you going? Do you know where you've been? Do you know you have beautiful eyes? Look in the mirror, look at yourself. I can tell that you're beautiful. Can you?
Glory Sessions was I took over. I ran it for, I think it was 2.5 years. I did about 160 events, not just in the International Bar. I performed at Dublin Writers Festival, the Electric Picnic, Festival of Cultures, did things for Shock na Gaeilge, Balcony TV. We got to go over to New York with Culture Ireland to represent the Glory Sessions in the New York and Poetry Cafe, and I set up a night down in Cork then for a while as well, in conjunction with Mutant Space, and it was cool. I saw what it was, and I kind of wanted to take in a slightly new direction. The talent that's in this country is incredible, and the people that kind of came out of the woodwork, as we mentioned, John Cummins a couple of times. I remember the first night he popped down and it just blew me away. Knocked me for 6, and I said, where the heck have you been all this time, you know? So moments like that is really why I was doing it. And then when you discover these people, it's like, don't let them just rest in their laurels. Kind of go, okay, look, there's other nights out there, like the Nighthawks, Tonebox, Brownbread Mixtape, Seven Towers, or even places around the rest of the country, and go, look, go to these other things as well, integrate, find out, be inspired by other people. So that was kind of it was nice to be a connector, I suppose, being a little kind of nexus. I think that's the right word. Is that I'll be a bit pretentious there for a moment. I'll use the word nexus around. It was nice to be part of the hub, as it were, but then again, I did need to move on as well. 3 men told me things I kind of know about yet. That's in conjunction with Colin Keegan, one of the co-organisers of Nighthawks, and Calla Ryan, who's the MC at the Brownbread Mixtape. So 2 somewhat similar nights to the Glory Sessions. They each have their own different flavours, but are unique nonetheless. And I wanted to actually do a play in the Fringe the previous year, and it didn't quite come together. And I also wanted to work with the lads. I have a lot of time and respect for them. We had a little chat and decided we'd go for it. We were all up for it, you know, and the process took quite a while. Not that was a problem, but just to getting a Fringe show together, the planning work that goes behind it, and then the rehearsal time and the scripts and the wording about fire regulations, and there's a lot that you don't initially think about. But that was a great learning curve, so it was. But we're pretty proud of it. We had a sellout run in the International Bar upstairs, and we were lucky enough to be nominated for the Little Gem Award. And now, thankfully, as we're sitting in this rehearsal space with the new Fringe Lab, we're part of the turnaround season, which is they've selected 5 of their favourite shows from the Fringe of the last few years, and we were fortunate enough to be included in that. So we're doing that now in the project, and as I said, today we're just back from the publishers. We have the transcript. It's all going, it's all happening, so it's lovely, you know. It's freaking me out a bit, you know, and also I suppose wondering what's next as well now.
I was on the bus, and this sunset, it screamed at me, reminded me of life, reminded me to shine. And I wanted to tell someone to look at it and to gaze at it with me, but I paused, and the view had passed, confiscated by concrete and stolen by gravity. So I phoned a friend on a 50-50 chance I shall see my end, and I shall send my friend a picture of it verbally. It was like a neon sign that says, nah, that's shit. It was like someone got on the flamingos and puried them And concrete clouds, dark and dull, had puked pulped guts, glaze on the undersides and drips the drops to into my eyes. I speak no lies, but the centre, the core, it's like fire. Ah, yeah, okay. I know that the sun is fire, but it was really like fire that was friendly and kind to touch. And that sunset, sure it touched me. So let it touch you and accept love. You'll have to deal with this shit, man. one night it leaked out here as well, so friendly and kind to touch. And that sunset touched me. So let it touch you and accept love. And accept the things that are intended to be given, like beauty, or a heart, or life. But accept love. Thanks for your ears, and hello everyone.
You kind of get the sense as well that because there's such a hunger for it, that you can actually sustain a livelihood from your own words, which is really the ultimate. That's really what I'm searching for. I've just gone back to college now. I'm in first year in college. I've gone back as a mature student. Great opportunity, delighted to have that. But I don't really want to be a teacher. While I do workshops in schools and while I facilitate some things and I enjoy that, and it'll be a happy second place, my main goal really is to actually make a living from my own creativity. And because Ireland is so small, and I don't mean to knock my country, I'm patriotic, although sometimes I hate my country as well. You know, I do have a love for it. It doesn't seem there's the same opportunity out there to be successful, as it were.
On a rusty tin can, out on the sea, all around my head, nobody but me. You might say I'm crazy, and you know it's probably true. I could say the same about you and you and you.
That was the West Nile Ramblers. Next, it's Carl Parkinson.
Why did I become a poet? I ask myself that a lot. And I think we all do ask ourselves that, you know. But I don't know if there's any real answer to that question of why. You know, the French writer Jean Genet, he was once asked, when did he start writing? And he said, at birth. So, you know, meaning either you could be just born this way, you know, or you know, all your experiences in life have led you to be a writer, you know. I only started writing when I was like in my late teens, you know, so, but I did, like, I was writing like more song lyrics, but then I always did have separate things that I thought, oh, that's a poem, without even really knowing what poetry really was, you know. It was only when I was in the band that didn't work out, and I got more into, I started reading a lot more, so I got into like William Blake and the Beats, and then I really focused on poetry, you know. On the performance side of things, I don't know, I think that's also came natural, kind of, you know. I think I was obviously when I was a kid, you know. I remember I went on holidays when I was a kid with my mother and my sister, and I was in Spain, Bulgaria, sorry, I was in Bulgaria, and I done like a Michael Jackson impression. You know, when you're a kid, everyone thinks I'm Michael Jackson. Well, I must have been good at it, and they started giving me money. I think maybe that went into my brain, and I thought, oh, right, if I get up and do this, they'll pay me. But sadly, it doesn't always work out like that. Sometimes you get paid, but not all the time, you know. There aren't many poets from where I come from, you know, and the fact I wouldn't say, I'd say I'm probably the only one that I know of that has come from, you know, from like living in tower blocks, you know what I mean? I know that Colin Keegan is pretty streety, and Stephen Smith, but I'm not sure any of them. I think Colin Keegan might have lived in Ballymun flats, you know. But I've lived in flats for like my whole life, you know, 30 years or something, 30 odd years there. So I know all those people. I know and I don't think they've ever been represented in poetry or in literature in Ireland at all, you know. In America, you know, obviously there's lots of streety kind of stuff, but most of that goes into hip hop. Or you have, I'm sure in England you have a bit, but you know, with the Irish people from where I come from, working class people like that, haven't really represented, not from Dublin anyway. So yeah, I like to write about those and the good bits and the bad bits, because they're marginalised people, you know. But now through the recessions coming on, more and more people are like that. But like where I came from, there was always a recession, you know. When there was nobody had jobs when I grew up at all. In fact, they're better off now than they were before the recession. You know, 15 years ago it was worse where I come from. So I don't know. It seems to be things are branching out into other areas at the moment. There's the spoken word against the page goes on with a lot of people. But I like to be able to do both, you know. And I think most of us should be able to do both. But it's also going into multimedia kind of, you know, like recording, sound. I mean, it's also like the sound of the voice and the sound of it visually as well. Because if you go and see a lot of us, it's totally different, isn't it, than reading just a book. Even though it seems new, it's actually ancient as well. It's going back as far as the Greeks, I believe. They had not poetry slams, but they had competitions as well of oratory, you know. And Homer, you know, Homer didn't write down his stuff. Someone else wrote it down. So that whole Iliad, the whole of that was, he must have memorised it. Or people memorised it, you know, and it was performed. But someone else writes it down and to record. We have to record so we don't lose the thing, you know. But it's ancient, and it's ancient in the Druid tradition in Ireland. The bards, you know, to get up. Eventually created its own, you know, strictures on people. And people had to have this and had to have that, and it became so much, it became academic. It became the thing that white people got poetry, oh, when you hear it in school, oh no. And it shouldn't be like that, you know what I mean? It shouldn't be like that. Why can't poetry be as accessible as anything else and still be but still be a high art and still have its integrity, you know. When you get up there, for me as well, when you're performing, it's like it's a sort of a pure act, you know. Although it's different than acting, I think, where you pretend because you're not thinking of, you've no worries. You've sort of, it's like sex when you have an orgasm. There's nothing else in the world that matters, is there? You have a moment of emptiness and of bliss, and if you get in the right mode of performance, you can get that. And obviously the audience then feels it too, hopefully.
It starts with a rhythm, a heartbeat, tang. Then comes a roll and the drums kick in. See, I heard a poet say music is my religion, and it got me thinking, if music is religion, then poetry is prayer. And I saw the apostles spitting some shit in the land of Jerusalem, and St. Peter said, "Oh, where's my fucking snare?" And I saw the bards of Albion rapping over the grooves of the druids of Hibernia, and the call went out, "Yo, where all my motherfucking bards at?" And it breaks down in the middle. Hey, dizzle, dizzle, there's a piggy in the mizzle. The little boy rolled up a fat one with the rizzle. The junkie ran away with the works and the spoon, and Whitey's gonna colonise the moon. Then come the strings and the choir starts to sing and lifts everybody up, and we all grow wings and feel heaven in our hearts. And then it's a cappella, a female voice. And the archangels are doing harmonies, and God grabs the mic and beatboxes to a fade out. Boom, boom, tsh, boom, boom, tsh, boom, boom. And it ends with a trumpet.
The city is one of the main themes. I've got a lot of poems that either have the name of something city, or city this, or this city is mentioned in it, you know. So Dublin itself, I suppose, is a big theme for me, and other cities, other cities I visit. When I was in New York, when we done the show over there, I wrote a New York poem over there as well. It's in the Census anthology, it's in that. So city, spiritual stuff, drugs. I've got a lot of things about drugs, obviously, because I grew up in a place where there's a lot of drugs, and I've done enough drugs myself, you know. I don't do them these days, but so, you know, as well, alcohol has been totally written about a lot in Irish literature, and it's been totally explored. So I explored the drug part of it, because drugs is a modern phenomenon, really, of the last 50 years or whatever. And everyone has done drugs now. Everyone smoked a joint, you know. Or these days, all over the place, cocaine. You know, it was a cocaine epidemic in Dublin. 50-year-old grannies doing it in toilets. You know what I mean? So I thought, well, maybe someone should write about that. So I've written about that. What else? Of course, spiritual stuff, you know. And I have things like the Positivity Manifesto and stuff like that, where, you know, give people that, even though things sometimes seem really, really bad, there's always light there, you know, and you don't forget that it's always there, you know what I mean? But not like the spiritual stuff. Some people think spiritual stuff was all light a few candles, you know what I mean? Light a few candles and chant, but there's a lot more to it than that, you know? What else do I write about? I write about myself as well. Death comes up a lot of times, you know. Every poet writes about death, you know. Life is death, death is life. What else?
How do you get ideas? Does it come to you, or do you go out and find it?
Different ways for different things. Sometimes I might want to write specifically about a certain type of person or thing, obviously, you know. But a lot of times it just comes to me from maybe something I've been reading, or I could be watching a film or whatever, and it just, you know, the muse throws down a bolt of lightning and that's it. You have to catch it and just go with it and see what happens. A lot of my most successful poems have come like that. When they were pretty much written and not edited that much, and they've been published or they've won me awards or whatever, you know, things like that. As I said, I started writing like when I was about, I think I was 18, 19, so I had a lot of drug taking to do from then, you know. But like I said, I never was like real hard drugs like heroin. I never touched heroin because I've seen a lot of people, yeah, you know, badly strung out with heroin, or, you know, I never took anything that I couldn't be control of, that would make you go and rob your high, you know. Like I smoked a lot of hash, done a lot of A's, but where I come from, that's nothing, you know. That wouldn't be seen as like anything at all, or like cocaine, like, you know. I never had the money to take loads of cocaine, you know what I mean, it's their stuff, you know. But I've tried it out many times. I've done parties with all that, but you know, it was never huge. Like, but to some people, I suppose, from where I come from, you wouldn't say, yeah, like it's nothing. But to other people, might go, whoa, that's a lot of drugs, you know. These days, I'm almost completely sober about everything. I don't even like go to pubs and I drink much at all. I'd rather go to the gym, you know what I mean, instead. So I don't know. If it was poetry and art did have a big part to play in that change, definitely. Yeah. I've met so many people in the last, like, say 4 or 5 years since the whole thing took off, really. And I've been to New York. I was in Canada, in Newfoundland, at a big festival there, and I met, you know, came all the way from those flats where I grew up to a big literary festival, and I met all these wonderful people over there, and you know, you're totally accepted. You know what I mean? You're not judged by anything, like, you know. But and it does, yeah. So the connections that I've made through it, I've gone all over the world here, and then I've met all these other people like Raven and Car 44 from Americans who I've never would have met. There's no way I would have ever met them otherwise, or Dave Lorden or Kit, you know, any of these people, because they wouldn't be in those social circles that I come from, would they ever? So, and you know, yeah, so it does definitely bring people together, because I mean, you can go to an open mic, say here, that spoke one, and the amount of different people from different backgrounds that are there, but they're all there for the same reason, you know, to share rather than take away, you know what I mean? So
I'm sick of your misanthropy. I'm sick of your hypocrisy, your misogyny. I'm sick of your negativity. No, I'm not sick. I'm slicker than your average. Your negativity will not affect me. Your negativity will not infect me. In fact, I'm going to put out your fire, but not with fire. I'm going to put it out with water. See, positivity is my water. Water is my positivity. And you say that I'm a 9, but I'm not a 9. I'm a 10. I'm attending to my mind and soul. My soul is a 10 thing, a 10 out of 10 thing. And you say that my hair is thinning. Well, I'm still singing my songs. I'm still slinging the amethyst rocks. And you say, down with that, down with this. And I say, up with that, up with this. I say, up, jump the boogie to the bang, bang, boogie, let's rock. I'm pulling up trees for paper, and with that paper I'm planting poetries. I'm cooking up books and mainline and philosophy. I'm smoking green, red, yellow and blue. My thoughts are coming true phonetically. I can go out in the Raz and just drink tea. Here's my manifesto. I call it positivity. I call it possibility. I call it you and me. That's PPP. That's positive power poetry. I allow my passion for compassion to grow daily. And maybe that ain't what's in fashion these days, but I'm going to make it all the rage. I'm going to eliminate all the rage. I'm going to sit down and breathe like Buddha and burn some sage. I'm going to burn like some old sage and mix my positivity with some sage acid, crossfade, Walt Whitman, my Paul McKenna, and hypnotise myself democratically and sing the song of myself confidently. Cultivate enough positive chi to metamorphosize into a golden immortal riding on the back of a dragon through eternity, and I call that dragon positivity. And you say the future is a mystery. I say the future is our history unwritten, and I don't believe in no 2012 apocalypse theory. It doesn't scare me. I'm writing my own story, and it's filled with supercharged positivity, and it stars me as you and you as me, and me as you and you as we, and we as we and me as we, and it's coming out on Nintendo Wii and Xbox and PlayStation 3, and you can download it from iTunes, order it from Amazon, watch it on YouTube, and I'm setting up a Facebook page, and it's going to be a $300 million movie, and it's called the Positivity Manifesto. And you say that shit's retro, I say it's active, it's rhapsodic. I'm going to turn kids into addicts, but they won't be snorting lines, they'll be writing lines. They won't be rapping bags, they'll be rapping rhymes, and they'll be tapping out shamanic beats, and they'll all be in the streets chanting tiger, tiger, burning bright in the forests of the night. What a mortal hand or eye there framed thy fearful symmetry. And Christ will no longer be weeping on the cross. He will be making water into wine and wine into water, and water is my positivity. So won't you all come and have a drink with me and come and sit with me, and we can write some positive power poetry. Thank you.
I think it's important to have, especially the spoken word part, the open mic, to just take that and not publishing, and that's a kind of a different aspect, you know. You have to really walk up to that. But I mean, it's important so that anybody can go to an open mic, you know what I mean? Or anyone can go and watch these shows. The Brownbread Mixtape is not an open mic, you know, or tongue box, but they have quality acts. You know, I mean, if people have walked up to a certain level to those acts to be asked, but you don't have to pay in to sit, you know. So you go to the open mic, and it's important to have an outlet for people like that, you know. Like especially some people in the spoken word saying you don't even have to be literate if you just want to spoken word, you know what I mean? You know, they don't have to worry about anything else. Just get up and speak. That's all you have to do. Get up and talk your poem. Now, obviously, you're gonna get a lot of stuff that's no good, as well. But you might be lucky to go to one night like that night, the other night, the bingo night, where every act was of a certain quality. You know what I mean? And as I said, it is important. It's important to have open mics so people can grow and get to the level of, like myself, to be able to go to Canada, to be brought over there, to be paid, to get published. Because it's important to have other people, you know, listen to your work and give you confidence and make friends that are on the same level as you, you know. Yeah, and of course, like, you know, it was the fourth essential thing, and it was the fourth thing that we discovered that we needed was art. First thing, obviously, was air, you know, food, water. What was the next thing they done? They painted on caves. So it must be essential to us to have art. And, you know, it's great if you have it. So the spoken word is one place, or the poetry saying is one part for people to go and do. And you have music as well. You know what I mean? So, yeah, that's it really.
That's it for this week. Next week, I'm going to Nighthawks in the Cobalt Cafe, which is run by Stephen Kennedy and poet Colm Keegan. Nighthawks is the only paid-in venue covered